I saw it, my first thought was that the people who've shot this documentary or the people who are participating in this documentary will be in grave danger. क्योंकि चाइनीज गवर्नमेंट अप्रिशिएट नहीं करती है कि उनकी कंट्री की पॉलिसीज या उनकी कंट्री की स्ट्रैटेजी जो वो कर रहे हैं वो बाहर आए. So that was one first hand account that you can see and you can easily understand what is happening in the country. And if you see it and you try to feel it, you will be terrified of the things that they've shown. तो देखने में बहुत हैप्पी इमेज लगती है, इकोनॉमिक आउटपुट बढ़ रहा है, पर कैपिटा इनकम बढ़ रही है, पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल हो रही है. But how have you done all that? The barbaric things that the government has done and the people have done to one another. It's very well captured in that documentary. So just in case you find time, देख लेना. All right, bringing you back to our lesson. We started talking about the comparison between India and its neighbors. The neighbors that we are considering are Pakistan and China. Why exactly are we considering this? Why are we looking at comparison? Because countries, they learn a lot from one another. They can have ideas of how they are bringing in different policies and that they can also replicate the same in their own country with certain modulations. ऑल्सो इट गिव्स यू एन आइडिया कि कौन सी चीज अगर बाहर सक्सेसफुल नहीं हुई है, मे बी द सेम विल नॉट बी सक्सेसफुल इन योर कंट्री. या फिर अगर बाहर कोई चीज सक्सेसफुल नहीं हुई है, व्हाट मिस्टेक्स डिड दे मेक दैट वी कैन रेक्टिफाई व्हेन वी ब्रिंग इन आवर कंट्री. या बाहर अगर कुछ सक्सेसफुल हुआ है, देखो अपनी कंट्री में कैसे ला सकते हैं. बिकॉज यू विल हैव टू मॉडिफाई सर्टेन थिंग्स. आप एज इट इज कॉपी एंड पेस्ट नहीं कर सकते हो पॉलिसीज. क्यों नहीं कर सकते कॉपी पेस्ट? समथिंग दैट इज सक्सेसफुल इन यूएस यहाँ क्यों नहीं होगा सक्सेसफुल हमेशा?
Ma'am, one reason is because of the population explosion.
That is the most important reason. Your population in different countries are very different. So the way your population will react to certain policies is what you'll have to keep in mind. Economic
Plus the
conditions are different taken. हाँ जी, sorry.
plus the government should be very motivated. They shouldn't be ill motivated in doing such policies.
Taken. The way the government is implementing should not really be an eyewash. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए बस दिखाने के लिए पॉलिसी ले आए हैं और implementation weak है. So the follow up of the government should also be strong. Then economic conditions considered, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि everyone can afford to incorporate those policies that the government is bringing in, and diverse cultures. Taken. So you cannot copy paste, you will have to see how to mold them. Then we started talking about the three countries. इंडिया का हम in detail इस चैप्टर में बात नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि हमें ऑलरेडी इंडिया का बहुत चीजें पता है. We started talking about Chinese experience then, of what exactly was there in China and what system were they following. Then we discussed the great leap forward, जहाँ पे इन्होंने सोचा था हम backyard industries बनाएंगे and our industrial output will increase. This was one thing that they did. Next, they started with the commune system. Commune system क्या किया? आपने individual land ले लिया और अपने कंट्री के पूरे कल्टिवेबल लैंड को 26,000 कम्यून्स में डिवाइड कर दिया. So there's no individual ownership of land, but it is a collective ownership of land. It can have advantages from the government's perspective. It can also have disadvantages. गवर्नमेंट के लिए एडवांटेज क्या हो जाएगा कि आपका कोई इंडिविजुअल ओनरशिप नहीं है, कोई प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स नहीं है, समथिंग दैट दे बिलीव इन. हाउएवर डिसएडवांटेज भी होता है, आपका वर्कर बहुत इल मोटिवेटेड होता है. एंड दिस इज नॉट जस्ट वन वर्कर, देन आपका पूरा एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर का अगर वर्कर्स इल मोटिवेटेड है, so your output eventually will fall. You are looking at substandard quality. And with China, when they had their motive of having an international presence, a strong international presence, you cannot really rely on such poor quality products. Great Leap Forward was a massive failure. Certain things that happened which did not really contribute to its success, rather contributed to failure. One, there was a natural disaster, a drought that killed about people. Next, there were political issues with Russia. So Russia was supporting China, with its policy framework, with its political control, also was funding activities. Russia was doing the same for us also. However, when there were conflicts there, Russia had taken its support back and China was left to handle things all by themselves. In very simple words, GLF was a disaster. Then you had another policy that came in, that was the Cultural Revolution. Cultural Revolution में क्या किया है? You encouraged, not encouraged, they effectively forced the students and the youth to go to the countryside and learn work. And the way that they did was, that was also a little barbaric. One thing, जीके टेस्ट, यहाँ पे माओ लिखा है, माओ का लास्ट नेम क्या था? Goes as Mao Zedong. Thank you. Once this happened, your cultural revolution also failed, and Mao Zedong eventually died. You had another leader coming in by the name of Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping brought in reforms, and the China that we're seeing today is the result of his work. Reforms coming in the year 1978. इनके रिफॉर्म्स इसीलिए नहीं आए थे क्योंकि हाई बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट डेफिसिट है या फिर बहुत बोरोइंग्स हो रखी हैं. इनके रिफॉर्म्स आइडियोलॉजिकल डिफरेंसेस की वजह से आ रहे हैं. एंड द revolution after revolution that the government is bringing in, and it was a failure. So you thought we have to change the way the world sees China and the way they have been functioning so far. So their reform set was not triggered because of external reasons, but mainly because of internal reasons. The kind of reforms that they brought in. One, again, allocated land to individual households. ओनरशिप नहीं दी है, लैंड एलोकेट कर दिया है. इससे क्या होगा? इंडिविजुअल जो अपना आउटपुट बना रहे हैं, अ पार्ट ऑफ इट यू गिव टू द गवर्नमेंट, जिसको हम कैपिटलिस्ट सेटअप में टैक्सेस कहते हैं, एंड रेस्ट ऑफ दैट दे वर कीपिंग विद देमसेल्फ एज देयर इनकम. सो द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ इंसेंटिव वाज सॉल्व्ड हियर. आप ओनरशिप दोगे तभी कोई काम करेगा, वैसे नहीं करेगा. ऑफिशियली उन्होंने ओनरशिप नहीं दिया, उन्होंने लैंड अलॉट कर दिया. Next, you encouraged private sector to come in, and there was now competition with the private sector and the state-owned enterprises. This we've also done. अगर सिर्फ state-owned enterprises होंगी, आपकी inefficiency आ सकती है, आपका corruption आ सकता है, and there is no incentive to improve. With private sector coming in, you're now looking at competition, you're looking at incentive to improve, and you're looking at variety for the people as well. With more variety, आप अपना export भी increase कर सकते हो, something that China always wanted. Next thing that they did was a dual pricing system. Dual pricing में इन्होंने क्या किया है? They deliberately wanted to keep the cost of production low for certain commodities. तो जिनके commodity prices इनको control करने थे, वहाँ government price fix कर रही है. जिन goods की commodity पे government ने control नहीं करना था, there they had left it for the market. Lastly, we know, I hope you know, that the concept of special economic zones started from China. They were the ones who initiated that, all right, let's have a special economic zone, let's give world-class infrastructure so that the production that is being done here is done smoothly. With the intention, initially जब setup हुआ था, intention ही ये था कि यहाँ जो हम produce करेंगे हम उसको export करेंगे. So if I remember correctly, they started off with 4 special economic zones and then expanded to 11 and then to 19 and then went on increasing because that worked for them very well. This was for China. Moving on to what was there in Pakistan now. All right, China was largely a socialist setup, जहाँ पे आपका गवर्नमेंट का ज़्यादा कंट्रोल है. सोशलिस्ट भी नहीं, हम कम्युनिस्ट ही कहते हैं, where everything is largely under the control of the government. Pakistan was largely a mixed economy. मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी मॉडल क्या हो गया? जहाँ पे आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी देख रहे हो और पब्लिक सेक्टर भी देख रहे हो. The way their policies worked in again, they also had their independence in 1947. They were also a young nation. Again, political instability है, freshly after independence, freshly after separation or partition, you now have to get a control of the country. Certain policies then that they brought in. One, they also brought in import substitution based industrialization. Someone to think and tell. Import substitution इन्होंने क्यों करा होगा?
मैम फॉरेन रिजर्व्स को बढ़ाने के लिए.
Taken. बढ़ाने के लिए या बचाने के लिए? Either way.
बचाने के लिए, मतलब अगर बचाएंगे तो बढ़ेगा ही.
All right. Shashank, you wanted to say
Also,
something?
yes, ma'am, also to discourage the use of luxurious products.
Taken, which contributes to, say, protecting the foreign exchange. Pranay, thank you for sending in. Domestic industry को भी आप protect करना चाहोगे. So you're looking at two important advantages. One, you are conserving your foreign exchange reserve. Next, you're also protecting your domestic producers from protecting them from
competition.
International competition.
from competition, because we were of the opinion that they are not ready as yet. Your domestic producers are not ready as yet to face competition. With the same approach, they also discouraged imports coming in. Next, इन्होंने भी वैसी protection करी है using tariffs. Tariffs are a very common way to restrict trade, जिसको हम trade barrier बोलते हैं. Help me recall one more trade barrier that you are familiar with.
Quotas.
We know of quotas, something that restricts trade. Next thing, again, they also had green revolution happening. Green revolution again needed because you want to feed your own population and you're looking at political leaders. Another thing, अगर आप यहाँ देखोगे, इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के landmarks काफी same है even after partition, because you do learn from your neighbors, you are in contact with the political leaders, and you have similar changes coming in. So green revolution happened there as well, where you thought that all right, we have to focus on the agriculture sector, we have to increase the production of the food grains, and we have to reduce our dependence on other countries. Something that happened different here, however, in 1970s, there was something like nationalization of capital goods industries. अब nationalization का मतलब क्या होता है?
Ma'am, I think it is opposite of privatization.
So what is opposite of privatization?
So government is actually buying industries, the capital goods industries which are already present.
Okay.
More and more industries.
All right. Anyone else who would want to add something?
Ma'am, it's basically transfer of ownership from the private sector to the public sector.
Taken. Why do you think that will happen? Why will any government go for nationalization of an industry?
Ma'am, to promote equality, if the government has control over of capital goods, then it also has the control over distribution of capital goods. That means that it can provide the capital goods at its subsidized rates, which can promote equality.
All right. Any other reason we can think of? हमने, if you remember, we also took control of our industrial sector under what act? कौन सी पॉलिसी के अंडर हम गवर्नमेंट ने कंट्रोल लिया था ऑन द इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर? Thank you. We had something like the Industrial Policy Resolution coming in, IPR, where the government, we did not really go for nationalization, itna extreme nahi kiya, but we did divide our industries into three parts. One, where the government owned it. Second, where the private supplemented the efforts of the government. And third, where the private sector was owning, however, still under the control of the government. आप करते क्यों हो? क्योंकि आपको पता है that we have to stabilize the industrial sector. With no output coming in, with private sector having no incentive of investing, they will have to take the front row, the front seat, क्योंकि आपको पता है industrial sector is a major factor for the stability. इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर इज टेकिंग इन द आउटपुट ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर. इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर आपका स्ट्रांग होएगा तभी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड होंगी. अगर मैं बात करती हूँ, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एक सर्विस है, इंश्योरेंस एक सर्विस है, कम्युनिकेशन एक सर्विस है. ये सर्विसेज चाहिए ही तब. बैंकिंग एक सर्विस है. ये सर्विसेज आपको चाहिए ही तब अगर आपका मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बेस बहुत स्ट्रांग है. अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ही नहीं है, आप ट्रांसपोर्ट क्या कर रहे हो? अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ही नहीं है, आप इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ एग्रीकल्चर गुड्स का करवा सकते हो, आप बाकियों का करवाओगे ही नहीं. अगर my whole point being that your manufacturing setup has to be strong, and if you see that the private sector is failing in doing so, the government will take in control. We took control in form of IPR, they took control in form of nationalization. Though your book has not really mentioned here, that was also not really much successful. So early 1970s में आपने nationalize किया है, और late 1970s and early 80s में आपने फिर से denationalize कर दिया. Because it is not easy to control and regulate and run the industrial sector, especially capital goods industries, which are setting the base for other industries. So it was not easy. Back in 1970s and 80s फिर उसको भी denationalize कर दिया, और क्या बोला कि हम private sectors को promote करेंगे. प्राइवेट सेक्टर को प्रमोट करने का अगेन वही लॉजिक, कंपटीशन आएगा, more power to the private sector, relieves the government also of its role. One thing that your book is not mentioning here, will not mention, high political instability that happened. आप वहाँ पे हमेशा democracy नहीं देख रहे हो. You're also looking at a military control that was there. Not that it is mentioned, however, your political setup always, without a doubt, always affects your economic situation. Other things that were happening, they were receiving remittances from the immigrants that had gone to Middle East. तो एज अ कंट्री ये रिलाई ही कर रहे हैं कि जो लोग हमारे मिडल ईस्ट पे गए हुए हैं वो रेमिटेंसेस भेजेंगे, रेमिटेंसेस एज इन गिफ्ट्स भेजेंगे या कैश भेजेंगे. सो दैट वाज एक्टिंग एज something that was keeping the country afloat at a macro level. I hope we can understand how sad that is if you're relying on remittances from the other countries for keeping yourself afloat.
Yes, ma'am. This actually reminds me of Bihar. Bihar भी मतलब आधे से ज्यादा दिल्ली में ही आए to support the economy of Bihar basically.
Again, you end up questioning what exactly is Bihar's preparedness just in case something goes wrong. So if we talk about the pandemic, for instance, with the labor going back, there was this one wave of the labor going back or the exodus of labor. However, June में अगर आप जा रहे हो, August or maybe late July, they also started coming back, because you know that Bihar as a state cannot sustain its own population. Same goes for the entire nation of Pakistan, at least back in 1970s and 80s.
Ma'am, I'd say it's prevalent right now also if we consider the opinion of Indian media.
They still are in debt, so that is a fact. However your media interprets that is something different, but Pakistan is still in debt. So are we. वैसे so are we. All right. Moving forth. Looking at demographic indicators. अब तक जब हमने बात करी, हमने सिर्फ एक थोड़ा रफ बैकग्राउंड समझा है कि चाइना में क्या हो रहा था और पाकिस्तान में क्या हो रहा था. Now let's look at different aspects that we can compare the countries on. Observe this table 10.1. I would want someone to share their thoughts, whatever they've understood, anything that they have to offer, and maybe we can discuss. Khushbu and input would be helpful and appreciated. Yatharth, some contribution will be appreciated. Aryan, something to be said. Okay.
Ma'am, these are very interesting facts actually. India is not very much behind China in terms of population right now.
Yeah, also, if you know, there have been so many studies where it eventually it was saying that by this year or so and so year, India will overtake China when it comes to population aspect. It was just because the two countries stand quite close when it comes to the population of the country.
Yes, ma'am. And then also, if we look towards density, it's an eye opener. Like, where is 148 and where is like 450, like 455? And that is why I think the agriculture sector is struggling so much. इतनी ज़्यादा population है, land तो इतना है ही नहीं इंडिया में.
Just a sec, let's see. Nikhil, do you know what exactly density means here? And if you know, do you think you can explain it to us?
Ma'am, is it in terms of population density? Because that means, I think, the number of people per hectare or something like that in terms of units. Is it
Taken.
in terms of population density?
The population density is basically people per square kilometer area. तो अगर आप इंडिया में 1 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर देखते हो, you're looking at 455 people on an average. चाइना में you're looking at huge land mass. So अगर population ज़्यादा है भी, relatively उनके पास land भी ज़्यादा है, so you're looking at 148 people, which gives us an idea that India, though the population is less than China, it is more clustered. It is more cluttered than China.
More
Pakistan,
congested.
more congested. Thank you. Better word. Pakistan का हाँ जी sorry.
Ma'am, the annual growth of population in China is the lowest, and in Pakistan is the highest. I think it's lowest in China because of the one child policy.
Taken. Though Pakistan has the highest growth rate, उनका absolute population के figures देखकर, even if they're growing at this rate, their population should not really be an issue. हमारे लिए 1% is also a huge issue if it is increasing by 1%. Another thing, as कुछ was already pointed out, China का growth rate कम इसीलिए है because they had introduced the policy of one child policy back in 1970s. तभी उन्होंने realize कर लिया that population will be a huge challenge for us. So they initiated saying that people should just have one child per family, per couple, and there were repercussions just in case they wanted to have second child. इंडिया में simultaneously क्या हो रहा था? At least what the media has let us know, that they were just promoting हम दो हमारे दो. Have we heard this phrase?
Yes, ma'am. Of course we have.
We were also of the opinion कि हमारा population बहुत जल्दी बढ़ रहा है. So at that point they were promoting just have 2 children per family. So, but the way we implemented and the way they implemented, that was quite different. All right, moving forth, sex ratio. Basically telling us the female per 1,000 male. Someone to interpret.
Ma'am, in the Indian culture, we have observed the female feticide in states like Rajasthan and maybe Haryana also. So that is why I think the India's sex ratio is pretty low. And in China, China is okayish and Pakistan is also okayish.
One thing, all 3 countries have a sex ratio against the women. Her country में for 1,000 males, you don't have 1,000 females, you have less than 1,000. The worst case being in India, followed by Pakistan and followed by China. So again, goes to the shows or hints us towards the cultural preference for a boy over a girl. Not getting into why do we have that preference, I'm pretty sure we're aware about that. Moving on.
Ma'am,
Hanji.
yeah, about that annual growth population also, it also points a finger towards the culture of the countries. Like in India, major population was Hindu. So in Hindu culture, like from last to last generation, they had 7, 8 children. But in the recent generations, we prefer most of the families in India prefer like 2 3 childs if they are not like really backward class, which are there. I agree. And in Pakistan, we see like uh, the major population is Muslim. So in that culture, like a man can marry more than one wives. So it's quite natural that he's going to have more children. You see, so that is why the annual growth of population is more in Pakistan, and in China, as we have already, they had the one-child policy. That is why it's 0.46, which is pretty.
Makes sense. Okay. Partly, at least I'm convinced, which can also be linked with the fertility rate. Fertility rate क्या होता? Anyone who knows what is fertility rate before I talk about it? It's basically the number of children a woman bears on an average. तो अगर आप इंडिया में फर्टिलिटी रेट देखते हो comes out to be 2.2 on an average, मतलब one woman is bearing at least two children. अगर आप चाइना में देखते हो you're looking at one woman bearing 1.7. Ideally, when we're talking about one child policy, जब आप बोल ही रहे हो कि एक कपल कर ही एक बच्चा सकता है, how exactly can their fertility rate be more than one? Someone to justify this.
Ma'am, in China, the one-child policy does not really restrict कि आप दूसरा बच्चा कर ही नहीं सकते. But the thing is about the incentives. The second child is not given incentives, and is often showed as a burden on the parents. But mistakes do happen, I guess.
All right. The way you are perceiving, the way one child policy was implemented, the first child was allowed, that was not an issue. Second child was an issue. Either you are imposing fines, or you are forcefully killing the fetus or the infant that is born, or or the women who were bearing the second child did make efforts of eloping and claiming not to have a second child. So it is not easy to convince a population just to have one child. If they want to plan another child, they will do so. The only thing was, in certain parts the repercussions were very strict. In certain parts they were let go, they were fined, and the incentives were forfeited. Hence you're looking at more than one. Moving on, fertility in Pakistan 3.6. So on an average, at least you're anticipating 3 children per woman, which also hints towards your annual growth rate. अगर आपका fertility rate ज़्यादा है, तो आपका growth rate भी ज़्यादा होगा. अगर आपका fertility rate कम है, आपका growth rate भी chances है कि कम होगा. Lastly, urbanization. Urbanization is simply telling the rate at which you're looking at urban areas out of the total population. Maximum urbanization goes to China, followed by Pakistan, followed by India. Not really a good sign for showing the quality of life of the population. So makes you question whether people are enjoying the good quality that they are supposed to or they can. This entire discussion here, जो यहाँ पे इन्होंने text में बात करी हुई है, they've interpreted this table only. Moving forward.
Ma'am, about this urbanization in column only, like what does really represent? Urbanization does not really mean happy citizens, na?
No, it will not mean happy citizens. It will just mean out of your entire population, if I'm dividing rural and urban. So urban mein you do have notion of increased production happening, access to increased factors of production, better standard of living as compared to the rural areas. And if my personal opinion comes in, you're also looking at certain modernization with respect to thinking of the people.
Basically, basically we are looking at the infrastructure part.
Infrastructure and the accompanying things that are there with the infrastructure.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, this is actually, are these urbanization stats given in percentages?
Beta, ideally should be percentage. Just a second. Even if it's not percentage, take 100 as your marker. So the residual will by default be your rural area.
Yeah, sure. Because the start of India being less urbanized than Pakistan was a bit, confusing. Because India has more in number. Also, India has more big cities than Pakistan. Pakistan basically has which three cities: Islamabad and two more. I don't remember the names.
See, goes with respect to your total area. So since our area is way more, तो अगर आप absolute में देखोगे, high chances है that India has more urbanization as compared to Pakistan. But with respect to the total area with India and total India area with Pakistan, overall percentage as a relative आप देखोगे तो Pakistan is faring better and can fare better. हमारे सामने तो छोटा country ही है.
One reason is population also.
Will be easy to urbanize less population, very difficult to urbanize 455 ka density.
That's true, ma'am. Ma'am, other than that, if we look at the China's urbanization start, it is like 59%, almost 60% land they have already urbanized. So, ma'am, this I guess will have large environmental repercussions also.
See, you will also not, or just as a conversation, nothing against this. You will also not aim for 100% urbanization. आप कर ही नहीं सकते हो. आपको agriculture को भी support करना है. Now that will not really happen within urban areas. What you can do is you can have a stronger rural area, you can have a stronger rural infrastructure, but with agriculture, and if you want to support the population that you have, also China doesn't really have, जैसे हर country में होगा आपका different terrain होता है, different crop being supported in different part of the country. Keeping that in mind, you're also looking at certain rural areas. However, their rural areas are also much developed than what we see in our country as villages. So just a contribution.
Yeah, ma'am. Taken, ma'am.
All right. When we meet tomorrow, we'll start with GDP. I'll try to be quicker. I'll give no recap tomorrow. I'll simply start with this subtopic. For now, you can go and mark your attendance, and we meet tomorrow.
Sure, ma'am. Good day.